Hi. In this episode, we will briefly summarize what we have said about architecture so far and answer the question of how architecture relates to agile software development. Let's get started. Architecture is more than just diagrams and design patterns. It's the entire decision-making process that starts with finding architectural drivers and quantifying them with metrics. Thanks to this, we build a coherent understanding of the problem among all parties interested in our system. We as programmers, architects, are also the interested parties in that system. Based on this information and our technical knowledge, we make architectural decisions. When we talk about the decisions that shape our system, we don't just mean the components, containers or classes that Kuba Piliman told you about when he presented you with the C4 structure documentation system. What we mean are also decisions which shape solutions at the level of solution architecture. I'll tell you more about it next week when I show you the big picture event storming technique, which allows you to quickly identify business areas. We are also talking about decisions that shape the entire software development process, the process of its implementation, and operational processes that help keep our system in production. The role of an architect is to shape architecture by making decisions about these processes. How does agility fit in with all of this? We're talking about making decisions all the time. If we make decisions, we introduce some restrictions. What do you think about when you hear the word restrictions? We associate them with a lack of freedom, with bureaucracy, with stiffness, with blocking. And indeed some decisions do have such consequences. But the question is whether all of them do. Let us look at the field that most of us associate with lack of any restrictions, with complete freedom: art. I have prepared two quotes for you. The first one is by Igor Stravinsky, who says that the more we limit ourselves, the freer we become. And the other one is by Leonardo da Vinci, who says that art lives with limitations and dies from freedom. What are they talking about? About what limitations? These words sound paradoxical. How can you say that restriction can set us free? Let's think about it. Let us take an example of the following restriction. In continental Europe, someone once decided that everyone would drive on the right side of the road. You could say, this is restricting the freedom of all citizens. People would like to drive on either side of the road. But thanks to the introduction of such a restriction, the safety of movement has increased. The possible speeds that we are able to develop have increased. And the integration of road systems between the countries of continental Europe has been made possible. Thanks to this, we are able to quickly and safely get to Croatia for a holiday. On the one hand, we have a restriction that takes away some freedom, though in a minor aspect. And on the other hand, it gives us many more positive options. Here is an example from our field. Immutability. If applied to our code, it often results in a much simpler solution than it would be for mutable code. So we see that some limitations may give us more options for the future. We will look for such limitations when making decisions. The first example of such a decision will be the division of the system into autonomous subsystems, which will enable each of them to develop independently in the direction that will be required. Another such decision is the automation of implementation processes. Why should each team do it on their own and spend more time doing it? If we can make one decision, we implement it in this and that way. Then each of them can focus on solving important business problems, and not on how to implement their application for production. Consistent technological stack. If we make such a decision at the beginning of our project, it will allow us, if necessary, to easily transfer programmers between individual subsystems. Yet another decision is to establish a communication protocol between systems. We don't have to predict all possible ways in which subsystems can communicate with each other. If we introduce a consistent protocol, such as HTTP or some variation of the RPC protocol, and in the future there is a need to integrate some two components together, the fact that the protocol is consistent makes this integration much simpler. Good architecture can, and should, enable an agile software development process. You can't create something without making any decisions. We have to make decisions, otherwise they will be made for us. If as an architect, do not make a decision as to the language in which we will write our software at the beginning of the project, this decision will be made individually by each team. The question is whether teams will make decisions taking into account the needs of all parties interested and the long-term perspective, or will they consider their own interests? Either way, a decision will be made. As architects, we look for decisions that reduce the irrelevant aspect, but give us more options in the future, and give positive features to our system. Yet another thing is the time perspective. We don't want to make all the decisions at the very beginning. For each of them, we are looking for the so-called last responsible moment. Because the later we make a decision, the more time we give ourselves to collect and understand all architectural drivers and quantify them. And the more we understand, the better decisions we are able to make. How can we do it? You will find it out in the next episodes. Stay tuned.